So Mr. Rogers, he said, feelings are mentionable and manageable. Yes, I'm talking about feelings, emotions, everybody's favorite topic. I was feeling a lot of those this afternoon actually watching the Vikings and Packers. I think I experienced just about every emotion under the sun. But I want to talk about how God sees them. Because there are many wrong ways that we can approach what we feel. For example, someone could say, I am my feelings. When I'm angry, I have to act on that. When I'm frustrated, I have to act on that. Well, why? I felt it. I have to. Okay, that could be one thing. Someone could also say, my feelings don't exist. What are you talking about, feelings? I'm just all the time, level, no feelings. I don't know if you've ever seen someone try to push a beach ball underwater, but that does not work well. Here's, I think, how I've heard it described and I really like, but how I think Jesus would say. Our emotions are a gift from God, but they don't dictate us. They're a lot like dashboard lights on your car. So when the light of sadness or the light of fear or the dashboard light of anger comes on, it's like your check engine light's coming on. It's alerting you to something. It's saying, look under the hood, look inside, something's going on. But emotions are actually indicating something helpful to us. God gave them to us for a reason. So for example, say you were walking across the street and you have, everybody's favorite little old lady. She gets mugged. And you're like, I'm going to sock that guy who mugged her. Anger comes up. Good. I would say if you didn't feel anger, I'd be like, do you have a pulse? Of course you should feel angry. That light should be on. Or if you were going to tightrope across the Grand Canyon, if fear was not blinking very loudly on your dashboard, again, I would question. I'm like, are you okay? You should be afraid. Fear in that situation is not bad. It's actually alerting you to something. And so you have in both of these situations, anger and fear. Jesus got very frustrated and angry. Now notice how he acted on it. Jesus also was afraid. Read the agony in the garden. Jesus experienced that emotion. So our emotions aren't bad, and to try to shove them under the water like they don't exist, they're just going to come out sideways. And also, if we let those drive the ship, we might actually punch that guy, or we might be afraid to get up in the morning, So how do we look at them? Well, I want to zoom in on one particular emotion, anger, experience tonight, given the readings. Jealousy. So there's actually a difference between jealousy and envy. I think we use those words interchangeably, but there's a big difference. Jealousy can actually be a good thing. Jealousy is a desire to either protect a good that I have, or I see a good that I want and I desire it. So that could go astray. We see many examples in the world where that goes awry. It can lead to greed. It can lead to these different things. I'm just making lists of things that I want. But thinking about man, I have this car and I love this car. I'm jealous for this car. I love it. The Bible even says God is a jealous God over us. God doesn't sin. If God's experiencing jealousy in a holy kind of way, it's saying, you're my possession, I love you, I'm protective over you. I desire you. So you can experience jealousy, it could lead to sin, but when the dashboard light comes on, that in itself is not sinful. Now, envy is very different. When envy happens, that is sadness at someone else's good. So when someone else wins an award, someone else does well, the Packers win the game, I would experience envy. Okay, just being a little open with you here. It's not a desire like jealousy. I desire what they have. Envy is rooted in resentment. I hate them because of that. I hate that good thing. It makes me sad. And actually, the saints will talk about that Satan, when he fell, he saw God's plan for what man was going to be able to receive in the Eucharist, how God was going to save him. God was going to become a person and walk around. And he envied us, and he fell. I also point out, in most sins, so think about like gluttony or whatever, I ate the chocolate cake. Well, although you made the wrong decision, you were told not to eat the chocolate cake and you ate the chocolate cake, you got a chocolate cake out of the deal. So there was at least some sort of payoff. With envy, maybe you could help me. I can't think of a payoff. It just makes you more unhappy. I'm just more unhappy that I gave into this. Envy is really, really frustrating. And if jealousy is like stealing, envy is like vandalism. I want to destroy the good that the other person has. It doesn't get us anywhere. And that's actually what we see in the gospel today. Did you notice with John? He sees someone else doing something really good, and he's like, Lord, they're not with us. We tried to stop that. I would actually read that as John is experiencing envy. There's something good happening, and I hate it. I want it to stop. And Jesus is like, don't do that. Don't do that. It's like taking poison, as the saying goes, taking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's not worth it. Jesus calls us to live in a place of freedom. Feelings, even when envy rises up in our hearts, it's mentionable, it's manageable. There's a place you can actually take the car when the check engine light goes on. And so here's 3 practical steps that you could use when any emotion comes on, dashboard light comes on in your heart. Number 1, be aware. Sounds easy? How often do we go weeks at a time without even looking at our dashboard? Without even looking at our heart as these different emotions are coming on? But actually reflecting on when those lights come on is really, really helpful. Oh, wow, I was like outrageously angry at something really little. That guy cut me off. Or if you ever tried to zipper merge, be aware. When that light comes on, that's very helpful to actually reflect. I got to be aware, like, oh, wow, what's going on in there? Look under the hood. So then you need to, 1, be aware, 2, understand what's going on. As soon as you see that light go on, you need to get to a mechanic. And when I talk about the mechanic, I hope you understand, I'm talking about my boss, not Father Tony. I'm talking about Jesus. He knows what's going on under your hood better than you, better than me, better than anyone. Bring that dashboard light to him. Lord, I'm experiencing envy. You haven't yet committed sin. The light just went on. But bring it to him. Let him actually tell you what's going on. Why is that happening in your heart? Listen to him. I know when envy comes on in my heart, I've heard the Lord say to me before, Father Ryan, the problem isn't the other person's good thing. The problem is you're actually blind to your own goodness. If you could see the good that you do, if you could see the good that is going on around you, and you could actually be grateful, that would diffuse the envy. The problem is not the other person's good. You see them as a threat. But the problem is you haven't looked inside accurately. And the mechanic then can show you, see all these beautiful things that I've given to you. That's freedom. So we're aware. We understand by listening to the mechanic. And then 3rd, we take action. And so if the mechanic tells you in prayer, I got to be more grateful. I need to listen to how God sees me, because that's how I actually am. Then we need to take action on that. Write things down that are actually good. You're going to notice that envy starting to be diffused. And you can do this with any emotion. And so my prayer for you today, Mr. Rogers, feelings are mentionable and manageable. So when those dashboard lights come on, I just ask, bring them to the mechanic, bring them to Jesus, and let him bring freedom in that place.